Hello, we are now in lesson 5 of the Biblical Hebrew course. In this lesson we will look at exercise 3, which is about the definite article and some of the short prepositions. Also there is a note on the divine name, which probably was pronounced something like Yahweh originally, but we're not sure, because very early there was, in order to be certain not to take the Lord's name in vain, as it says in the Ten Commandments, the Israelites, the Judahites, chose not to pronounce the name at all. And so when a later time added vowels to the text, we're actually not sure which vowels are the correct ones. We assume that it's something like Yahweh, meaning he who makes the wind blow, assuming that that Yahweh originated as a storm god, a god connected with wind. We don't know. But what we do know is that later traditions misunderstood how to read this name, because the vowels connected with this name in the Hebrew text are not the vowels that the name originally had. The thing is that whenever the divine name was to be read, it was avoided, as I said, but another word was read instead. For instance, very often Adonai, my Lord. Adonai is with a slight modification of the vowels, is the form usually indicated by vowels in the Hebrew text. So, for instance, in sentence 1, which reads, Anochi Yahweh. Now, if you were to read according to the vowels, you would read Yehovah. But that is a mistake. Again, the divine name was not read, so the vowels that were read from Adonai were added instead. So the form in sentence 1 and throughout the Hebrew Bible is a combination of two readings. So he was certainly never called Yehovah. That is an early misunderstanding. Yehovah would not be. Why do we know that? Well, we know that Yehovah is not a possible name form, word form in Hebrew combined with these consonants. So you're free to read Yehovah. You're free to not really Yehovah. You're free to read Yahweh or Adonai, whatever suits you best. So sentence 2 is Yahweh Bet Zion Gadol. Yahweh in Zion, big or great. Yahweh in Zion, great, meaning Yahweh is great in Zion or on Zion. Zion is a mountain, the mountain of Jerusalem. And there you see a preposition b plus Zion in the second word. So b is one of the short prepositions. The short prepositions b, k, and l consist of one consonant and a schwa usually, or some other vowel. Again, the vowel is not important for the meaning of the preposition. The preposition, well, means what it means in the different contexts. And b, k, l, b and l are the most common of these. They're very common. They can have different meanings. B in particular is has many different meanings in Hebrew. L is a bit more. I mean, when you compare to English. For an English speaker, l is slightly easier to work with. L means something like 2 or 4, whereas b can mean in, with, and many other different meanings in different contexts. And these short prepositions are always prefixed to the word that follows. Okay, so you can't have them standing on their own. You'll never find the preposition b, k, or l standing on their own. And just as the v and can have different vowels, so these prepositions can have different vowels. Sometimes the vowel is important, and we will see examples of that later. Sentence 3 is Hanavi Omer el Hamelech. The prophet is saying to the king. Hanavi, the prophet, has the definite article, just as the last word in this sentence, Hamelech, the king. The prophet is saying to the king. The definite article consists of a ha, that is a he plus the vowel a, often a patach, but sometimes a kametz, and then in principle a long consonant. Hanavi Omer el Hamelech. A long consonant is usually is in principle following the definite article. I mean, the first consonant of the word will be lengthened. Some consonants in Hebrew cannot be lengthened. That is the gutturals, aleph, he, chet, and ein. In other words, consonants that are produced in the larynx. They cannot be lengthened, nor can the resh, the resh, cannot lengthen either. So if a guttural or a resh is in the beginning of a word, the definite article cannot is simply not followed by a long consonant. But almost always by the definite article has the vowel a, either as a patach or as a kametz, as mentioned. Sentence 4 is Lakach ha'ish el hapri, et hapri, took the man the fruit, meaning the man took the fruit. Lakach, regular, perfect, third masculine singular, as we've seen. Ha'ish is the man, and here you have a word ish, man, which starts with one of the guttural consonants, namely aleph. And that aleph, as I said, cannot be lengthened. So the definite article in this case is not followed by a long consonant. But then, as often happens, it gets a kametz instead. Ha'ish, the man, et hapri, again et is the object marker. It's a meta word, is not to be translated. Indicates that we have a definite object following. Again, the object marker is not used with indefinite objects. Hapri, the fruit. The man took the fruit. Hapri. There we have a regular definite article in the sense that it's followed by a long consonant, namely the first consonant of the word, pri, fruit. 5 is achal ha'ish et hapri. The man ate the fruit. Again, a regular perfect verb, third masculine singular, achal. 6 is kara Elohim la'or yom ve'lachoshech kara laila. God called to the light day, and to the darkness he called night. In other words, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So in Hebrew you can call to something. In English you call something. Kara is a third masculine singular perfect verb, again with 2 A's. You notice a slight difference between the A's here and the A's in the other perfect forms that you've seen, in that the second A is a kametz and not a patach. Up until now we've only seen patach in the second place of the verb, but often this place will have a kametz and not a patach. Notably, in cases where the verb ends with the root ends with an aleph, or where the verb ends with a he that, originally verbs that end in he will end in a vav or yud, that later became a vowel, and this vowel is indicated by a he, and so the verbs look as if they end in he. Many of these, these verbs are quite common, and they will also have the kametz as vowel in the second place. So well, the perfect masculine third singular can end both in kamet and patach, and it's still the same form. So God called to the light, la or. Notice the preposition le, and then an a, and then or. The a is all that's left of the definite article. The thing is that when you have one of these short prepositions, only the short prepositions that are prefixed to words, they always eat up the he of the definite article whenever there's a definite article. So you never see forms like le, ha, or, to the light. There's a contraction going on always from leha or to la or. Leha is contracted to la. Yom, and then ve la choshech. Ve la choshech. Again, la choshech is the preposition le, the short preposition, plus the definite article ha, plus choshech. And choshech is another word that starts with a guttural, namely chet, and therefore it cannot, the guttural cannot lengthen, and so the definite article stands without a lengthened first consonant of the word. Vela choshech kara laila. Sentence 7. Lot halach et Avram. Lot went with Abram. Now you say, what's with the et there? That should be the object marker. Well, actually we have two words et, two identically looking words that actually are two different words. They used to be different, but I mean in this stage of Hebrew they have the same form. So whenever you have an et, you'll have to see, you have to disambiguate it. You have to see whether it's the object marker or the preposition. More often than not, it will be the object marker. But sometimes, and actually not rarely, an et will be the preposition et, which means with. Lot went with Abraham. And again, how can you tell the difference? But well, with most verbs, you can be relatively sure if it's a preposition with, or if it's a direct object. Sentence 8 is Karat Yahweh Brit et Avram. Yahweh cut or made a covenant with Abram. 9. Mashach Elohim et Hamelech Shemen. God anointed the king with oil. Now what's going on here? Well, the first part of the sentence is simple. Mashach Elohim et Hamelech. God anointed the king. Okay? Mashach, regular verb. Incidentally, the root mashach is found in the Aramaic participle-like phrase, or so the form Mashiach, which incidentally is a passive participle in Aramaic, meaning anointed, the anointed one, Mashiach. Of course, be read in our languages as Messiah. God anointed the king, et hamelech, et the object marker, then ha-melech, and then Shemen is with oil. See, now and again you'll see nouns that are used adverbially. So in that case you simply have to add a with in Hebrew, with oil. Okay. Sentence 10. Lakach Yahweh Elohim tzela min ha'adam. Yahweh, God, took a rib from Adam. Yahweh, God, took a rib from Adam. Now in Hebrew we have a definite article, as you've seen, the, but we have no indefinite article. So tzela is a rib. Min ha'adam, from the human being, ha'adam, or we can also translate it as a proper name, from Adam. 11. Yatzar Elohim et ha'adam afar min ha'adama. God created man of dust, or with dust, from the earth. Here again we have this adverbially used noun, with dust or from dust. God created man, so far so good, but then afar, with dust. We simply have to add a with or a from, because this noun afar is used adverbially. And then the final preposition, min ha'adama. So note how Adam, man, and Adama, ground or earth, must be the same root originally. Probably also in the same word as originally as dam, which is blood, and Edom, which is Edomia. The thing with blood, man, and soil is that they all probably were reddish in color. But ha'adama, with the feminine ending a, is then land, but Adam, without feminine ending, is man. And dam, without the aleph in front, is then blood. 12 is nafal ha'ish b'cherev. The man fell by the sword. In other words, he was slain. Nafal, a regular perfect, he fell. Nafal is one of the verbs, one of the few words that are relatively easy to remember. Fal, you can remember fal. The fal is like, almost sounds like fall. You generally have to use mnemotechnics. I mean, finding ways for yourself to remember Hebrew words. Hebrew is not supposed to be complicated. It's not complicated. It's a regular language that's completely possible to learn. However, there is a hurdle, of course, in sort of the grammar. The grammar is different from what you're used to if you know no other Semitic language. Also, and not least, words are harder to remember because they sound different from what you're used to. Well, this one word, nafal, is then slightly easier to remember. Fall. Okay. B'cherev is by the sword. Again, it's the preposition b plus the definite article ha, and cherev, sword. 13 is amar hanachash el ha'isha. The snake said to the woman. 14, God gave the woman to the man, to Adam. Again, the last word la Adam is le ha Adam, the preposition le, and the definite article ha, and then Adam, man. 15. Adam, or the man, heard the voice or the sound. Hakol can mean the voice or the sound. 16. Avad ha'adam et ha'adama. Adam, or the man, tilled the ground. 17. Yosef tzavar bar kachol asher al hayam. Joseph collected grain as sand which on the sea. Meaning, Joseph collected grain numerous like sand, or as much sand as much grain as there's sand on the beach. But literally it says Joseph collected grain like the sand which is on the beach, or on the sea, meaning on the beach. And again, kachol is like the sand. K is like, ha, definite article, and then chol, and of course the he of the definite article, as always with the short prepositions, is elided, it falls away, and there's a contraction happening, you get ka. Okay, that's it for this exercise 3. Thank you.